The KXAN News Podcast is sponsored by Shelf Genie.
The fentanyl crisis is killing kids in Central Texas. What U.S. senators are doing to combat the flow of fentanyl at the southern border. And a 21-year-old soldier dead at Fort Hood. The advocates now demanding more be done after investigators found no foul play involved in that woman's death.
More than 20 degrees colder than this time yesterday across much of Texas. We'll show you when temperatures rebound and also an update on our chances for snow.
And a very good evening to you. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jennifer Sanders. As Texas school districts grapple with the fentanyl crisis this week at the state capitol, senators passed a bill that would increase the penalties for selling and producing the drug. And as Rashad Hudson reports, U.S. senators are now working to stop drugs like fentanyl from coming across the southern border.
West Virginia Republican Senator Shelley Moore Capito says the White House isn't doing enough to fix the country's growing opioid problem.
This is killing the American public, and it is wrecking families.
Capito says President Biden's recently released budget doesn't have enough money in it to fight fentanyl from coming across the southern border. She says the budget proposal mentions climate change 42 times and stopping fentanyl only twice.
They don't see this as a crisis at the border, both on the human trafficking side or the drug trafficking side.
To crack down, she wants to see more technology for scanning vehicles crossing the border.
Something called non-intrusive inspection, where we can inspect trucks as they go through.
But the White House says stopping illegal drugs is a top priority and points to the $25 billion in the budget for hiring more border agents and improving surveillance technology.
I take a backseat to nobody in fentanyl, in controlling fentanyl.
Ohio Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown says he's working with the administration to stop the flow of drugs.
More training for law enforcement and safety for law enforcement when they handle this stuff, to counseling programs and drug addiction programs.
Brown also believes lawmakers can find a bipartisan approach to tackling illegal drugs. Reporting in Washington, Rashad Hudson.
And going in depth right now on the crisis in our area, back in 2022, the Hays County Sheriff's Office reported a total of 37 fentanyl overdoses, 14 of them being minors. Since 2020, Texas has seen a 120% increase in fentanyl-related deaths. Emotional pleas this evening from the League of United Latin American Citizens, also known as LULAC, asking the FBI to look into the death of a soldier at Fort Hood. Private Ana Dua Ruiz died Monday at Fort Hood, and yesterday the Army Criminal Investigation Division announced that no foul play is evident in the 21-year-old soldier's death. LULAC says the soldier's parents stated she had complained about repeated sexual harassment by other service members. Leaders are worried that her death is far too similar to what happened to Vanessa Guillen back in 2020.
We stood on this very spot 3.5 years ago when Vanessa Guillen disappeared and was later found to have been killed, never thinking we would be here again under similar circumstances, that is to say, the death of another Latina soldier.
Vanessa Guillen also complained of sexual harassment at Fort Hood prior to her disappearance. Austin police say an overnight car chase led to a driver crashing into a building. Now, this is the aftermath of that car hitting the Travis County Civil Courthouse off Guadalupe Street downtown. That chase began after officers tried to pull over a car on East 11th Street. 4 people in that car went to the hospital. They are expected to recover. Another drug maker is slashing insulin prices. Sanofi is capping the out-of-pocket cost of its most popular insulin product. The company says it will also lower the list price of Lantus by 78%, and Apidra by 70%. Now, those changes will take effect next year. Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk made similar moves earlier this year, and together the 3 drug makers make up roughly 90% of the insulin market in the U.S.
First warning weather with meteorologist Nick Bannon.
Yes, it looks pretty nice out there, doesn't it? From the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center. but it's chilly, of course. We're stuck in the 50s now, thanks to that cold front that came through last night. Even with this afternoon sunshine, temperatures have not really warmed a lot the last couple of hours. A lot of middle and upper 50s. I've been trying to find some 60s. Not quite there yet, although probably a couple neighborhoods may reach the 60-degree mark. We're about 20 to 30 degrees colder than we were this time yesterday. Certainly was a strong front that brought us the rain in the middle of the night. And then we've got a chance of more rain coming in later tonight. 20% chance of rain overnight as we drop down to 40 in Austin. There could even be some snow in some places. So coming up in first warning weather, say it ain't snow. We'll talk about who's most likely to have a little accumulation when you wake up tomorrow morning. We'll show you the chilly air that lasts for days and when we finally warm up and get another round of storms.
All right, Nick, thank you. Debate over medical treatment for transgender children in Texas led to hours of public testimony Thursday at the Capitol. Senate Bill 14 would prohibit certain treatments and surgical interventions. Now, the Texas Medical Association highlighted its concerns with the bill. Josh Hinkle, host of KXAN State of Texas, explains why that led to criticism from both Republicans and Democrats.
Lawmakers heard nearly 7 hours of testimony, both for and against Senate Bill 14, but some of the most contentious moments came when Dr. John Carlo, representing the Texas Medical Association, testified on the bill, basically not taking a position for or against the legislation.
While physicians want to provide medically appropriate care for all patients, we understand that there is an ongoing debate over what is medically appropriate with regard to transgender adolescents. Medical science is continuing to evolve.
That position brought questions from senators on both sides of the aisle. Democrat Jose Menendez noted that TMA recently held a different position.
A year ago, TMI issued an amicus brief where you recognize, and I quote, gender-affirming care as the accepted medically necessary treatment for adolescents with gender dysphoria in Doe versus Abbott. So I would have understood or felt that TMA's position there was still TMA's position today.
Republican Donna Campbell, who is an emergency room physician, took issue with Dr. Carlo, saying he was speaking on behalf of 57,000 TMA members statewide.
Well, I think you can put down 56,999 because I definitely am not on that list, and I am a member of TMA.
The TMA is calling for 2 changes to the bill. One would make the Texas Medical Board the enforcement body for any alleged violation, providing due process for physicians. They're also asking for a grandfather provision to allow treatment to continue for minors already receiving hormone therapy. After hearing all the testimony, senators left the bill pending in committee. It is on Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's list of priorities, so it is likely to pass in the Senate. Back to you, Jennifer.
All right, Josh, thanks so much. Protests erupt across Paris. The controversial measure approved without a vote in Parliament. And we take a look inside the effort to restore Notre Dame Cathedral after 4 years after a fire nearly destroyed it. And what would you do if you got a call from your sibling's phone saying that they were being held hostage? We'll take you through one woman's experience with a terrifying scam call. Fires burned on the streets of Paris overnight after a controversial measure to raise the retirement age by 2 years. Now, the prime minister pushed it through without a vote in parliament. Thousands of demonstrators gathered on the streets. Those demonstrations quickly became violent, with several fires set and property being damaged, raging late into the night. Now, police fired tear gas to break up the crowds, and police made hundreds of arrests. Crews in Paris are hard at work on a critical phase of restoring the spire of the famed Notre Dame Cathedral. A major fire nearly destroyed it almost 4 years ago. And to fix that spire, 50 people from around the country are working the same way carpenters did hundreds of years ago. They assemble it all in a workshop in northeastern France, where they will take it apart piece by piece, then bring it to Paris and put it back together inside Notre Dame.
We expect, and according to the general who's running the whole project, the first mass to be held inside Notre Dame by the end of 2024.
And officials say the first base layer of the spire will be fully assembled by April 15th. They say by the end of the year, all 4 layers will be complete. Pickleball players in Austin for a stop on the professional tour. We take you to that tournament and get into the explosion in popularity the sport has seen.
Not as high as it was a few days ago, but oak trending higher than yesterday, and it's at medium. Mold is at medium as well. Grass and ash are low, as are cedar and mulberry low. Our temperatures are low too. We'll show you when we're back to the 80s again and our next round of storms in first warning weather.
This KXAN News podcast is brought to you by Shelf Genie. I'm Rosie Newberry from KXAN Studio 512. Considering replacing your kitchen cabinets? Struggling to find or reach things? Go to shelfgenie.com/Austin. Shelf Genie designs custom pull-out shelves for your existing cabinets, adding convenience and value to the most used room in your home. Shelf Genie custom pull-out shelves, everything in reach.
The world's best pickleball players are in Austin this weekend for the Onyx Austin Showdown. So that showdown is part of the Professional Pickleball Association Tour. The tournament features 1,100 athletes across multiple divisions and age brackets. That tour is returning to Central Texas after debuting the Austin Showdown back in 2022.
It's great to have a big tournament like this at home. I think over 1,200 people in general, 200 pros. So it's just fun to have a tournament in your backyard for sure.
And this tournament is the 6th event of the 2023 pickleball season. Going in depth right now, pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports in America. In the past 2 years, the sport's popularity has picked up all around the Austin area. And according to the Sports and Fitness Industry Association, participation has nearly doubled to 5 million players in the U.S. over a span of 7 years. Well, now to a very frightening moment for a woman who got a call from her sister's phone number. That person on the other end of the line claimed that they had taken her sister hostage. It ended up not being true, but Stephen Romo tells us how scammers are now hijacking phone numbers to make calls like this seem real.
Tonight, a TikTok video going viral with more than 6.6 million views.
I was terrified that he was going to kill my sister.
Warning of a scam so realistic that it brought one woman what she calls the scariest moment of her life.
It literally sounded like he was desperate, walking down the street and grabbed someone who happened to be my sister.
Beth Royce got a call early in the morning last week. She says it looked exactly like a call from her sister Kayla, who lives in Seattle.
It was basically as if she was calling me, and I answered it. I heard crying on the other end, and I said, Kayla, what's wrong? What happened? And then I heard a man's voice.
Beth says that person on the phone told her he'd kidnapped her sister Kayla and her life was in danger.
He was like, you're not going to tell anyone. You're not going to speak a word. You're not going to call the police. I have your sister. I'm going to kill her. I heard muffled sobs in the background that sounded like a woman's voice. So, of course, I was like, oh, my God, that's my sister. I fully 100% believed that this was real.
She alerted her mom, who was staying at her Pennsylvania home. Then she went outside talking to this supposed kidnapper.
I know, I'm trying to...
Seen here on security camera video she shared with NBC News.
He was a little unorganized. Like, he had to call his girlfriend and got her phone number for Venmo. It didn't feel thought out in any way, which made it seem all the more real.
Beth says she did end up sending $1,000, half through Zelle and half through Venmo.
It went all the way through? Yep, it went all the way through.
Before realizing her mom had gotten the real Kayla on the phone.
She called me, and the first thing she said was, are you real? And I was like, excuse me? Like, I was really taken back by that. And she was like, where are you?
Kayla says she was finally able to convince her mom she was okay, and then Beth, who was still talking to that scammer, got to talk to her sister.
You could tell she just never thought she was going to hear my voice again. She was like, yeah, I'm fine. And my immediate thought was, well, then who does this guy have? Because this is really scary. It seemed so real. It never even occurred to me that it was a scam.
Spoofing, where scammers make their calls appear to come from other people's phone numbers, are not uncommon. We found warnings from local police and from the FBI about them. However, experts say the scams continue because they work.
They're really playing on the emotions of the individual they're talking to. They're talking to a mother, a father, a loved one, a husband, a wife, that truly cares about that person, and to pay $500 or $1,000 for their well-being, they'll just go ahead and pay it.
Beth and Kayla's mom called 911, and Beth filed a police report about what happened and the stolen money, which has still not been recovered.
You don't realize what you'll do in the moment for a loved one.
First warning weather with meteorologist Nick Bannon.
Chilly, but a happy St. Paddy's Day to you as we take you out to the Highland Furniture and River City Grill camera in Marble Falls, where the sun is out just hours after strong and severe storms moved through overnight. We're now done with the wet weather for just a few hours because we actually have another storm system coming in tomorrow that's not going to bring storms per se, but it could bring us some light rain in some areas. There's the cold front that brought those storms last night, and it certainly brought much cooler air our way today. Our next chance of wet weather is coming from the southwest of us. This cluster of clouds right here in Mexico, that's moving east, and it'll bring us some of us light rain and even a little snow into tomorrow morning. Just got new data in to our clouds and radar to take you through tonight. Should still be dry through about 10 or 11. Low rain chances begin after that. And notice some of the rain here clipping some of our southernmost counties into tomorrow morning. Notice how close the blue and pink color is to central Texas. That's where we expect some of the snow to fall. In fact, other computer models that we look at actually bring a little bit of snow into Gillespie and Blanco counties. I think we've got a low chance for some light accumulation there. Not going to cause any problems on the road. And in general, it'll be a light rain that we see here tomorrow morning. Heading through the day, those rain chances actually drop more and more as we head through your afternoon. So it's generally just a cloudy day with a little bit of light rain, mostly in the morning. Heading through your Saturday night and into Sunday, some breaks in the clouds. We think Sunday morning's going to be rather chilly, even chillier than tomorrow morning, and a few more breaks in the clouds here and there through the day on Sunday. And I've now taken out the rain chances here for Sunday. So if we're going to see any accumulating snow at all here tomorrow morning, this is where it would be. Portions of southern Gillespie County and southern Blanco County. I think honestly more likely the snow is going to be southwest of that area, but this is the area to watch for some sticky grassy coatings or the coatings on those colder surfaces. The rest of us, it's a cold rain. Maybe if you're lucky, you see some wet snowflakes mixing in. For those that do get rain, generally the southern counties in our viewing area, rainfall amounts shouldn't be too much, although the farther south you go, you might get closer to 3/4 of an inch here tomorrow. So a 20% chance of mostly rain overnight with a low of 40. The farther south you are, the higher the chances are for you. That rises to a 30% chance of rain tomorrow with a high of 55. We stay in the mid-50s here through Monday. Transition day is Tuesday. That's when the warming really begins, but we still got some chilly nights ahead. Sunday morning starting at 39, Monday morning at 37. This is in Austin, so probably in the hill country you'll actually start closer to freezing those 2 days. What about rain chances ahead? A limited rain chance Tuesday and Wednesday, but by far our greatest chances of wet weather. Once again, I think for the 4th week in a row, our highest rain chances come Thursday into Friday with yet another cold front that could bring some strong storms to the area. Look at our first warning weather 7-day forecast. You see those cooler 50s with a lot of clouds around through Monday. I'm not saying no sun, but limited sun. Tuesday, mid-60s, Wednesday, upper 70s, and then we're back to 80 on Thursday ahead of that next cold front that drops us a little bit for Friday.
Today, an Austin nonprofit handed out 60 computers to refugees from countries like Afghanistan, Iraq, Ukraine, and Venezuela. Austin nonprofit The Global Impact Initiative tries to make adjusting to life in the U.S. easier for refugees. The nonprofit's executive director told us how computers can help.
It's no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. So whether it's for the children's tutoring, whether it's for the husbands to find jobs, for the wives to learn ESL, a whole lot of reasons.
And the organization has helped more than 400 refugees find jobs in Austin last year, and they're currently serving nearly 250 families.
Thanks for listening to KXAN News Nightly. You can also listen to KXAN News Today every morning for more in-depth coverage of what matters most to you.